Hello and welcome to Diabetes Connections in the News. I'm Stacey Sims, and these are the top diabetes stories and headlines of the past 7 days. As always, I'm going to link up my sources in the Facebook comments. We're also live on YouTube, and they'll be in the show notes at diabetes-connections.com when this airs as a podcast. In the news this week is brought to you by the world's worst diabetes mom, real life stories of raising a child with diabetes, winner of the American Book Fest Prize for Best New Nonfiction. Available in paperback on Kindle or as an audiobook, all at Amazon.com. You can get a big discount right now at diabetes-connections.com. Use promo code CELEBRATE to save $4. Our top story this week, big news from Tandem as they lay out their product line for the next 5 years. Still waiting for FDA approval for Bolus by phone. Once that comes through, next up is Mobi. That's their brand name for what we've all been calling T-Sport until now. Then there will be an X3 pump. Then Mobi goes tubeless. Then a true disposable patch pump. They also mentioned software upgrades. Now, look, a lot can happen in 5 years, but it's exciting to see it laid out. A lot more to come here, and we're working on having Tandem on the show soon. Over at Insulet, CEO Shacey Petrovic says they no longer expect FDA approval for Omnipod 5 in 2021. I mean, that is in just a couple of weeks, right? She spoke at a NASDAQ investor conference and said it's not any kind of problem, just the COVID backlog at the FDA. Petrovic says she is, quote, eminently confident in our submission. More stem cell research news this week, this time from ViaCyte, University of British Columbia and Vancouver Coastal Health, showing that a tiny implant infused with stem cells can help the body produce insulin on its own. 15 patients living with type 1 participated in the study, which included the insertion of a device the size of a quarter in the abdomen. Each device contained millions of lab-grown cells that were coached into becoming insulin-producing beta cells. 6 months later, the cells had started producing tiny bits of insulin. Next year, the team plans to do the procedure without immunosuppression drugs. The ultimate goal is to have somebody who just stops taking insulin and then doesn't have to worry about taking anti-rejection drugs. We first talked to ViaCyte about this in 2016. That's where this picture is from, if you're watching live as this is on Facebook and YouTube. I will link up the episode from 2016 just so you can kind of see how far they've come. The White House continues its push to pass Build Back Better, focusing a lot this week on the insulin copay cap. It's passed the House, and if the Senate approves, government and private insurers have to cap the cost to the patient at $35 for a 30-day supply of insulin. Nothing in the bill for those without insurance. By the way, 20 states and DC have passed similar copay limits. I did see late this afternoon on Twitter a few reps who want to change the language in that federal bill to include the uninsured. So we shall see. Freestyle Libre 2 app is now available for Android, approved earlier this year. It is now there. It's available for download. Libre 2 features optional real-time alerts for both low and high glucose levels without the need to manually scan the sensor to trigger those alarms. You do still need to scan to see the actual number. Dueling lawsuits from Abbott and Dexcom. Abbott filed suit last week. It's sealed, but it has to do with a 2014 settlement agreement. That agreement gave the companies cross licenses to patents related to glucose monitoring. It also included an agreement that lasted through March of this year not to sue each other for patent infringement or to challenge the patent's validity. We told you back in June of this year that Dexcom had filed the first suit. Abbott countered the next day. This seems like an additional legal maneuver in the same case. There is a lot going on this week. We have another entry for the non-invasive blood sugar monitor rumor mill. K-Watch glucose smartwatch has a disposable part underneath that features what they're calling micropoints that will measure blood glucose. The company says, quote, although the wearer might feel some slight pressure, there is no breaking of the skin and therefore no pain. Not sure those two thoughts really go together. I mean, enough pressure can be uncomfortable enough, but we shall see. The coverage here talks about clinical trials and getting this on the market late next year. So I went to the actual clinical trial recruitment site. I will link that up for you. It says this trial started in November, but it also says it hasn't started recruiting. I'm not sure how those two go together. I know I'm the dream killer with the non-invasive monitoring stuff. I do believe it will get here, I promise. But I think the coverage of most of these items is irresponsibly based on rumors. I've got a fun follow-up to a story that I broke back in 2019. I'm not sure how important this story is, but it is the merger of Jerry the bear and Rufus the bear with diabetes. Rufus is getting a big makeover. I'll show you a photo of what it looks like here. Basically, you've got Jerry the bear on the left. This is from Beyond Type 1. They came out with this several years ago. So, Jerry the bear has all the interactive educational stuff and an app, but this is the new. This is the new Rufus. You can see he's got a little JDRF t-shirt on and he's got all the mechanics of Jerry inside. And the price here is $22, which is a far cry from the first version of Jerry, which we gave away here on the podcast a few years ago. It cost hundreds of dollars. This is great. I would have absolutely bought it for Benny if it was that when he was little. So I told you I broke the story, right? What's up with that? I interviewed the heads of JDRF and Beyond Type 1 when they announced their alliance. And I asked what was going to happen to the bears, almost as a joke. But they told me back then, sorry, only one bear would make it. This was just, I mean, I think this is such a great and fun play toy for kids, and it's a great teaching tool. I'm actually really glad that they worked this out. I do want to take a moment and remember Tom Shear, the CEO of Beyond Type 1, who died earlier this week. I went back and listened to that interview that we did back in 2019, the one where he and JDRF told us about Jerry and Rufus, that story I was telling you about. That was an interview with Tom. And of course, we talked about a lot more. It was one of the many times we talked on and off the podcast. Look, I didn't know Tom as well as many others in the diabetes community. We only met in person a few times. First, I actually have a photo of this. Thanks for the kind folks who sent me. A couple people who were at this conference sent me this photo. This is 2018 at the Diabetes Mind Conference. We met again in 2019 at Friends for Life, where we talked about working together more. We were sort of noodling out the possibility of bringing the podcast into the Beyond Type 1 content realm. You know, Tom was a terrific interview. He was not afraid to go on the record. He was very accessible. And I remember once I warned him that I had some tough questions from the community about getinsulin.org when Beyond Type 1 was launching that, because Beyond Type 1 takes money from the insulin makers. And, you know, people are angry about that. Some people are angry about that. Well, he welcomed it and he answered the questions that many other people, a lot of leaders, would have avoided. I just read that Tom was 33 when he died, so incredibly young. He believed in what he did. He wanted to make life better for people with diabetes, and the world is it's a little emptier without him today. Before I let you go, a reminder that the podcast this week is with the executive team at Convatec. These are the people who make infusion sets for tubed pumps, including the new 7-day set from Medtronic. You can listen wherever you get your podcasts. Or if you're listening to this on a podcast app, just go back one episode. And next week, it's a first for me. I'm going to do a favorite things episode. I've never done one of those before. It should be fun. And that is in the news for this week. If you like it, please share it. Thank you so much for joining me. And I'll see you back here soon.